Hey everybody, it's Leah, and today I'm going to be talking about being a fairy godmother in training. I had such an amazing opportunity to work at the Bippity Boppity Boutique on my first program, and today I'm just going to talk about those little things that just made it so special, and like some of the funny things that come along with being a fairy godmother in training. So let's get started.
Hey now, hey now, this is what dreams are made of.
When you first find out you're going to be a fairy godmother, you will cry, you will scream, and you will not be able to believe how incredibly lucky you are to have gotten this role. Being a fairy godmother in training teaches you that the words glitter and sparkles are dirty words. Those are two words you never want to hear, and like even saying them, like coming out of my mouth, like ew, no. There's no such thing. Everything sparkly is pixie dust. Being a fairy godmother, it will take a very long time for you to quit calling little girls princess. Being a fairy godmother, your days off in the park are strange because you're going to either walk past a princess who has a hairstyle that's falling down, and you're going to want to go over and fix it for them because like you can do it so easily, make it look so much better than it is right now, but you won't because it's kind of weird. And also, you're going to have the urge to touch people's hair. Like, you're gonna like dream about the texture of people's hair and like being able to comb it up into a ponytail on the top of their head, or like seeing a little girl with like all this hair, you'd be like, oh my god, your hair would look amazing in a fairy tale. Like, you won't be able to help it. Like, you'll see hair and you'll just think about hair all the time. You'll want to touch it and like get your fingers in it. It's so weird because I've never ever been like that before. Being a fairy godmother, you get to experience the amazing reactions of princesses once you turn them around in their chair and they see themselves for the very first time in the mirror. You get all kinds of reactions, and each one is different and special in its own way. Being a fairy godmother, you get to tell really silly stories and hear like little giggles of girls when you tell them, and best of all, you get to use your fairy godmother voice like all day long, which is pretty fun. Being a fairy godmother, you will always remember the smell of the detangler, and you will always remember the sticky consistency of the Pump It Up. Being a fairy godmother means you get to sing and dance and play and spin around in circles and tell stories all day long, and you get paid to do it. Amazing. Being a fairy godmother, you will learn to embrace the dust. I'm talking about pixie dust because it will be everywhere. You'll be covered in it when you get home from work. So it will be in your car, it will be in your bed, it will be in your food. Like, there's no escaping ever. Being a fairy godmother, you will never forget your first Pumbaa experience. And you won't forget your second or your third or your fourth, any of them. You will never forget any Pumbaa that you've ever encountered. And, oh, Pumbaa. Being a fairy godmother, you get to take on the role and the character of being this mystical fairy who lives in the castle with Cinderella and fairy godmother, and you're 221 years old, and you know, you make magic, and it's really fun to be able to play a character but also be yourself at the same time. Being a fairy godmother, you get to wear a pretty cool costume. It comes with a halo, and of course you're covered in pixie dust all the time. You will feel magical like a proper fairy all the time. Being a fairy godmother, you will almost cry when a princess hands her autograph book to you for the very first time and asks for your autograph. Being a fairy godmother, you will never forget those special princesses who were just either super funny or just super wise, had like an essence about them. There'll be certain princesses that you'll just connect to and you'll still think about them all the time and wonder how they are. Being a fairy godmother means in the beginning you're going to stress about the hairstyles because they won't end up perfect, and you'll end up realizing that it's all about the journey, it's about the experience, it's about working to get better each and every day, because at the end you will have perfect hairstyles, but for right now you just need to, relax and let it come to you. Allow yourself to be new and not good at something. Being a fairy godmother, small children will just stop and stare and look wide-eyed up at you and just be like, wow, there she is, the fairy godmother. And that is such a cool feeling. As a fairy godmother, you will hate the fairy tale hairstyle in the beginning. Hate it, hate it with a passion. And people will tell you that in the end you'll love it, and you'll say, I'll bet you $1 million I will still hate it. But guess what? In the end, you will love it. You'll love the fairy tale because there's something so simple and elegant once you know what you're doing and you finally find your groove in it. It's so much fun. Being a fairy godmother, your catchphrase is bippity boppity boo, may all of your wishes and dreams come true. Bippity boppity boo. Being a fairy godmother, you will meet princesses from all over the world. I cannot tell you how many different countries because I honestly don't know, but seriously, so much fun to interact with kids from other cultures and different countries because they view, America differently than you do. They have different, things they do at home because they do live in a different country, and maybe they're in the United States for the first time, and it's just really fun to see the differences of culture through a kid's eyes. Being a fairy godmother means that you have fairy friends for the rest of your life. Being a fairy godmother, some days are just not going to be your best. You're going to feel tired, you're going to wish that you were at home, laying in bed, but you just need to add some extra pixie dust to yourself and realize that even though you come in here and you do it every day, these princesses are here for their once-in-a-lifetime experience, and you're the one giving it to them. So just make sure you realize that this moment in your princess's life is spectacular, once-in-a-lifetime event. Being a fairy godmother, you just don't simply go on breaks. You go to the castle or you go on tea, and that's pretty cool. Being a fairy godmother, I don't know what to say. It's simply amazing. It's life-changing. Some people, when you're little, you dream of being the princess. You want to be Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, any of the princesses, because you want, the dress and the shoes and the crown and all that stuff. But I can't explain in words how cool it is to be the fairy godmother who gives those things to a small child. I literally helped make dreams come true every day. That's awesome. Yeah. Being a fairy godmother, your time will come. You will turn 1,000 years old. You will graduate the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and you'll be sent off on your own to find your very own princess. And that is super sad, but it's also amazing to kind of take in the moment of your fairy graduation and see how far that you've come. So thank you so much for watching my video. These are just a few things that make being a fairy godmother in training so special. If you have any questions about the role, feel free to ask me, and have a wonderful, magical, pixie dust filled day. Bye.
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a dream away.